So a surprise update went out for Warzone as of last night, and it brought with it some good changes, but also, well, unfortunately, it broke a lot of things. So today we're going to break down everything that changed here as this update, and also some of the things you may be seeing inadvertently as a result of this update. So as we go along, let me know your thoughts down below. Are you guys liking anything that this actually changed here? And of course, how do you feel about the bugs themselves? What are the case? Drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like on the video. And of course, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Warzone, all things Vanguard, anything COD related. We got you covered. We still have a ton of stuff here that you guys do not want to miss coming up on the channel. So if you're a part of that nearly 70% of viewers that are not subscribed and you'd like to help us out on that road to 500,000, all while being informed with everything, I'd love to have you in the community. That said, let's jump right into what the update changed. So let's start out with what this update actually aimed to do, not what it inadvertently did. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But for the 16 gigabytes on PlayStation, around 20 if I caught it properly on PC, and likely around there for Xbox platforms, we end up firstly seeing the big thing here was the rollout of Ricochet, the anti-cheat, the kernel level driver across the board globally. This will be included with any PC download, so Xbox, PlayStation, you didn't have this included here with it, but that explains that extra couple of gigs you had on PC as opposed to PlayStation and Xbox. But this is something that introduces a machine learning kernel level driver that acts as our anti-cheat here, that will, technically speaking, right now be at the weakest point that it will ever be, because it will learn, it will adapt, and it will be something that gives us hopefully more protection as more cheats end up coming out. It's detected and then therefore bans all of those. So this is something that already has the cheating community in shambles from what I've seen, and to me, I'm totally cool with that. If you gotta cheat in Warzone or gaming in general, maybe it's not for you. It's just some big weirdo energy. That's my opinion here on it, but that's something that has already tackled quite a bit here and hopefully should add a layer of protection going forward. Now, is it going to be the be-all, end-all? Will we never see cheaters again here within Warzone? No. This is something that acts just as that preventative protective barrier, but every so often, you may see some that pop through. But the number of those in total should be way lower than what we saw beforehand, as opposed to, say, a couple of months ago when it was basically every other match that I was playing, I was getting in contact with a cheater. It shouldn't be like that anymore. Now, this was a pleasant surprise, honestly, this update, rolling this out, given that it seemed like that the global rollout would take a little longer because the Asia and Oceanic regions got it firstly with the launch of Season 1, but it was announced that it would come at a later point for the rest of the world. That only being a week later, that software stability side that they sort of focused the timed rollout on in various regions beforehand, that seems to have gone well, so I'm okay with it now being rolled out just a week later. It is said that Vanguard will get this kernel level driver at a later date, though nothing is detailed right now as to when that could be. Hopefully within Season 1, I would imagine, or at least have my fingers crossed that it comes during that time, but that's something to be aware of as well. We also had plenty of other issues tackled in the meantime, where there were things with additional fixes deployed for collision issues on various elements across Caldera, allowing players to go through them, peek, or shoot through them. They fixed an issue allowing players to duplicate weapons. They fixed an issue where players were able to infill prematurely. They fixed an issue where players were experiencing frame drops if respawning with a player title and calling card frame equipped. They fixed an issue causing voice chat output device settings to revert back to default communications devices. They fixed an issue preventing Vanguard seasonal challenges from appearing and or tracking properly. They fixed an issue with the EM2's recoil not being properly increased. They fixed an issue causing the Car 98K Scout 10 times telescopic optic to incorrectly aim down sight in terms of that speed. If you saw any footage here of that, it was almost an instantaneous aim down sight. It was like super ADS. That should now be fixed out. That also fixed an issue causing players to unintentionally ADS in and ADS out. So those are bug fixes that were mentioned, but also included in that, not mentioned in the patch notes, now active, the Festive Fervor Vanguard XP boost, which is a 10% bonus XP for owning Vanguard. That will now show up in your menus within Warzone. All you have to do to get that active is to just simply log into Warzone or Vanguard from now until December 31st. So you have a decent window here that you'll get that extra bonus XP. And then we saw some weapon tuning. Firstly, in a small wave, we had 3 things initially, and then just a little bit of time before this video goes up, I'm actually redoing this section because so much was changed. We got a whole host of other weapon tuning adjustments afterwards. The Type 100 from Vanguard had its 8mm Nambu 20-round magazine attachment name updated to the 30-round magazine to properly reflect what it actually has. Then we saw the Automaton was kind of the main focus of this weapon tuning. We saw its recoil increased, and we saw the magazines for the Automaton automaton changed in the way of the 6.5mm Sakura 75 round drum mag, decreasing the move speed by 2% and also decreasing the ADS move speed by 3%. As well, the 8mm Klauser rifle 50 round magazine, that now has its move speed increased by 2% and its ADS move speed increased by 2% as well. So if you like mobility, that might help you out a little bit. And the Type 11 had its neck damage multiplier decreased from 1.4 down to 1.5. Truthfully, I didn't see anything too wrong with the Type 11, but I guess that I don't have all that data on hand. Then in sort of the second wave of tuning that we got here today, we saw that the spawns across Caldera have been adjusted for ground loot, supply box loot, and contract rewards. But more so talking weapons themselves, we saw that the assault rifle alpha, otherwise the STG-44, had its recoil adjusted. We saw that the bar had its recoil adjusted. We saw that the automaton also had a secondary pass to increase the recoil greatly. So we'll see how that all translates to in-game, what that means, if it is something that is much harder to manage now at this point, or if it's not. The Cooper carbine ended up having its maximum damage range decreased to 1200 units, down from 1350. The neck damage multiplier was decreased to 1.2, which was down from 1.3. The lower torso damage multiplier was decreased to a base of 1, down from 1.1, and the recoil was increased slightly. The Volkssturmgewehr ended up having its neck damage multiplier decreased to 1.2, down from 1.5, so a significant multiplier decrease there. The lower torso multiplier decreased to 1, down from 1.1, and the ADS speed was decreased by 19%, so a significant nerf to the Volkssturmgewehr here with that one. As for the handguns, we saw the Klauser had the neck damage multiplier decreased to 1.2, which was down from 1.5. Again, significant there. The machine pistol ended up having its maximum damage range decreased down to 215 units, down from 225, so a slight nerf on that, but a second damage range decrease to 450 units, which was down from 600, so significant in that regard. The Rat had its neck damage multiplier decreased to 1.2, again down from 1.5, as did the Top Break in the same exact fashion. A neck damage multiplier decreased to 1.2 as opposed to what it was before of 1.5. We saw two adjustments to the LMGs. The MG82 had its recoil deviation increased, which the deviation is the amount of randomness in that recoil pattern, as opposed to just the pattern itself being changed. And then the MG42 had its ADS speed decreased by 9%, as well as a recoil overall increase. The G43 had its recoil adjusted, and the Kar98K from Modern Warfare had its flinch resistance increased by 19%, bringing it back a little bit here as opposed to what it was beforehand. It kind of got eviscerated in the last update, but now it's sort of finding middle ground. For the combat shotgun, moving into the shotgun category, we had the maximum damage range decreased to 140 units, down from 150, and the second damage range decreased to 220 units, down from 240. The Einhorn revolving shotgun had a maximum damage decrease to 160 units, up from 140, and a secondary damage range decreased to 220, down from 230. The Gracie Auto had its second damage amount decreased to 20, down from 22, and a third damage amount decreased to 14, down from 18. So slight nerfs there, with a maximum damage range decreased to 140 units, down from 160. The second damage range was decreased to 300 units, which is down from 325. Now, the sniper rifles, we had a few adjustments here for these. The 3-line rifle had a maximum damage increase to 95, up from 92. The minimum damage was increased to 78, which is up from 75. The neck damage multiplier was decreased to 1.5, down from 2, so significant nerf here on that one. The lower torso damage multiplier was decreased to 1.06, down from 1.1, and the upper extremities damage multipliers were decreased to a flat line of 1, which were down from 1.1, and finally the ADS speed was increased by 16.6%, making it a little bit more viable in terms of, say, quick scoping. The Grenko anti-tank rifle had a minimum damage decrease to 102, down from 108, and a minimum damage range increased to 4,096 units, which is up from 2,048. So a straight up doubling of that minimum damage range, which is actually kind of insane. The neck damage multiplier was decreased to 1.8, down from 2, and the bullet velocity was increased by 22%. So this thing, while it did have a minimum damage decrease, it is still a powerhouse in many other regards. The Kar98K from Vanguard had a flinch resistance increase by 19%. The Swiss K31 had a flinch resistance increase by 19%, and the Type 99 had a maximum damage increase to 96, up from 92, a minimum damage increase to 82, up from 75, and a neck damage multiplier decreased to 1.7, which was down from 2. On the SMG side of things, we had the O1 gun see its recoil adjusted, the PPSH had its recoil adjusted, the Sten had its recoil adjusted, plus ADS move speed decreased by 10%. The submachine gun Charlie, otherwise the MP40, had its recoil adjusted as well. The M1912, otherwise the Tommy gun, had its recoil adjusted, its move speed decreased by 1.25%, and an ADS move speed decreased by 4%. 50%. And finally, getting to the end of the sort of adjustments and tuning here at this, for the ammunition on the top break, we saw that the shot shell had its maximum damage decrease to 18, down from 25, a second damage amount decreased to 14, down from 15, and a maximum damage range decreased to 180, down from 197, and a secondary damage range decreased to 275, down from 315. So those snake shot akimbos, not going to be anywhere near as effective now at this point. Can still do some damage if you're right on top of the player, but you're going to be hard pressed to get those a little bit at a distance kills with that. The gun perk of Steady had its firing move speed multiplier decreased to 4%, which was down from 5.5, and the ADS firing move speed multiplier was decreased to 3.5%, which was down from 4. The magazines on the 3-line sniper rifle had the 7.62 5-round fast mags magazine capacity increased to 5, which was previously 3, and same thing with the Kar 98K on the Clouser 5-round fast mag, increasing that to 5, up from 3. But to me, what was interesting is that this update was truly out of the ordinary. We have an update tonight for Vanguard and another one scheduled for Warzone tomorrow night into Friday. So to see a third update here at the front end of a 3-day span is just kind of odd. Now granted, of course, they wanted to roll out Ricochet, so that means that it needed its own title update as well, but kind of figured that would just be rolled out in with the Festive Fervor update so as to avoid another update. You know what I mean? But the thing is, too, with this is that with this third update, this surprise one, it introduced quite a bit of a mess as well, as per what we saw with most recent title updates. Season 1 introduced a ton, this seemingly doing it again, with load-in sequences, missing images with the pink texture, missing backdrop. The Kar 98K is now semi-automatic with the shrouded weapon perk, which is just ridiculous. It's kind of like the DMR 2.0 at that point. Gold was changed for some weapons to a degree where the weapons don't even look gold. It's just sort of that white, glossy, and matte black finish, that swirl effect here for most of the camo. I've seen it on the Kar 98K, still looking around for other weapons that may be adjusted as well. Some weapons are bugged to be invisible, one of which was a shot blueprint, so naturally that'll get fixed right away. Dev errors are now returning in droves. The gulag spawn is broken, where if you win your gulag, you might not necessarily have your weapon carry over and you could just spawn back in with your fists. Graphical issues still persist in regards to the world not loading assets and textures. Artifacting is still persisting, but I've also now seen a ton of footage of this happening outside of the game and in the menus, so that's cool. Performance issues are still persisting. Again, a lot of frame drop issues in other areas. I've seen players having the content package is no longer available, which keeps them from even entering the menus and the game of Warzone. Optics on guns are apparently off center, and a whole host of other issues that were introduced as of last night's update. So it seems like with every update that we have for Warzone right now, we're just getting more and more bugs. And I know that was kind of a meme here for a little bit, where the last year or so we had a bug or two introduced that every time we got, like, say, the helicopter with the minigun on it, that it would introduce a new invisibility bug. But I mean, these have had game-breaking issues in droves the last 2 updates. So I don't know what's going on over there. I know that there were, of course, that entire fallout with the QA section at Raven, but it seems like the overall sort of product itself is being messed with now at this point, to the point where maybe we should hold off on some of these things. Fix what's needed, but also make sure that they work before deploying those fixes. But anyways, that's the update that we got overnight here, and that's what we're going to call it. So I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. Are you guys looking forward to seeing, well, hopefully less cheaters now with Ricochet rolled out globally? Are you guys liking some of the changes here made to some of the weaponry, that XP boost, or are you not so fond of the new bugs introduced? Have you guys seen any for yourselves? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like on the video, and of course, if you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Warzone, Vanguard, anything COD related. We got you covered here on the channel, so if you're interested, hit the subscribe button. But that said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care, and peace.